But I'll tell you one thing I do know is that North Wilkesboro came back because of Marcus Smith. Like, I don't...
And Dale Jr.
Well...
But yes, give yourself some credit.
Yes. I don't feel comfortable doing it. NASCAR. Of course, when they didn't
put anything into making a comeback for it.
They didn't play any role.
Yep.
Now they have to go... When Marcus comes up and says, man, I've got this track back together.
Yeah.
I want to put it on the schedule. They've got to, go, okay, good.
Yeah. What's the consideration, right?
Yeah. But look, NASCAR never was going, guys, we got to get Wilkesboro going.
Yeah.
Physically, they were never, I don't, and I don't want, this isn't a knock to them. This isn't like this isn't a knock to them. They shouldn't take this as an insult. But Wilkesboro is back because of everybody else,
a lot of hard work and investment from SMI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The government, our locals, government and the town, a lot of volunteers, 20 years of volunteers, people like, just even keeping the grass mowed for 20 years. All of those reasons are, the fact that they just kept the track in somewhat reasonable shape to even be considered to be brought back. Those people should be commended. I mean, we can go on about this, but I know that O'Donnell's like in his text messages saying, we got to get back to Wilkesboro. But they weren't actively like boots on the ground part of the reason why Wilkesboro is back. And so, and
concerning what would overshadow them from coming back because they're the ultimate thing.
I know.
So what is going to, to his point of we need to be the first back, like, what really could go there as the first thing and overshadow the biggest form of motorsports?
Look, I was happy to be part of Wilkesboro in its return, whatever role I really played in all of that. We went there with our Cars tour, and we got a ton of grace from fans. There was just a lot of that wasn't working. It wasn't, that traditionally, if you were going to bring NASCAR in, you'd had to fix, right? But we got a ton of grace. Fans were like, I don't care. I'm happy to be here. I want to see a race. And that night was a dream. It don't even feel like it was real. And so, I think Marcus saw that, and then me and, Marcus was like, holy we do need to bring this back. What was it? Damn, and so me and him go up to, me and him are out in Raleigh and talking to the government and talking to local officials, and we're doing everything we can. We met with the state officials and, trying to do everything we could. And, and then he brought it back. Marcus brought it back. And so, I was surprised. I wasn't surprised to read about North Wilkesboro in their text messages. I was surprised to hear how they framed it. Like, we got to get back there. That's what we got to do. That's how we beat SRX.
I think it's hard for us to understand the threat because, like, when we look at our own business and everything that we do and how we're made up and what our dad always looked at and all the legacy of our family and all, I don't think we didn't ever like look at things as like a threat and deter and badmouth and talk. We look at it like, how can we make this better? What can we do together? That kind of thing. And that's what's like the most surprising thing to me is like,
I agree. And
that's what I go into things with, that mindset.
Bowman Gray's mentioned in there as well. And we went out to the LA Coliseum. I love the idea on paper, but we should have never, like, that's the part about NASCAR that's frustrating for me is that we eventually get to where we're supposed to be. But like
we try a bunch of things.
We try a bunch of things that we don't need to try.
That don't pan out.
But we eventually like, this was the answer. It was Bowman Gray, because like literally Bowman Gray is part of our, that's a part of the original seasoning that created NASCAR. Like Bowman Gray is like part of the very beginning of our sport. Like, it's like Wrigley Field and, what were we doing out in L.A. at this Coliseum that we had no, like, personal connection to, but we eventually end up where we belong, and where we should be. And so I don't hate the idea of the Coliseum. I really don't. But like, we literally had that right under our nose, and now here we are. And so and same thing with Wilkesboro. Like, Wilkesboro should have came back way before it did, right? And it just took a little bit of inspiration to sort of help some people understand why that needed to happen.